And today's opportunity.
I want to start touching on some of the prophecies that the prophet made regarding what will happen if his warning is not heeded.
Welcome to the world.
In light of the current events, this is going to make a lot of sense, a lot of things he's saying. For instance, this was taken from a book published by Olive Ill called The Oral Statements and Prophecies of the Prophet Noble Ali. This is a prophecy. This book here, it's almost like hadith. It's almost like a form of hadith amongst the Moors, because it's collected from various people who knew the prophet, who was around at that time. It's just taking different statements from them of things that the prophet said and done and so on and so forth. So the analogy would be in Islam, Orthodox Islam would be a hadith. So it's just showing you we got to stay in tune with the time. The prophet also said, quote, prophecy number 57, he says, quote, watch the newspapers and listen to the radio. I am going to make the Europeans tell the truth. So he's saying in the last days, listen carefully. What you hear in the newspapers, what you see on the news. He said he's going to make them tell the truth at that time. And if you listen carefully, you can distinguish the truth from what they're saying. He also told the Moors, he said, one day the European is going to let you down. You are going to have to put up a 90-day supply of food to last you until your brothers come to rescue you from the east. This is prophecy number 198. If I were you, I will get ready before you are made to do so. He's saying, get ready now. Don't wait till the last minute. He said, one day, some of you old Moors, he said new Moors, said some of you old Moors are going to be so hungry that you are going to bite into your own flesh and blood will speed out, and you are going to get angry with yourself because you didn't put up enough food. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecies, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. The prophet also said, one day the Europeans are going to lock the food up in warehouses, put soldiers around them to guard them, and you will go anywhere he says to go to get something to eat. See, he says here, another prophecy from the prophet, he said that, now this is before FEMA. He told the Moors that one day you will go to the store and there will be soldiers with guns and bayonets in front of them, and they will not let you enter, and they will order you to move on. He's predicting FEMA before FEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and FEMA has a series of plans that will sign into law, a series of executive orders that are signed into law that if the president declares a state of national emergency, FEMA takes over all railroad, transportation, food supply, everything, and everybody has to register with the Postmaster General, where you will be allotted either to a work camp or detention center or whatever case may be. That's why you notice the Postmaster General, the post office in every neighborhood.
For press use only.
So what better mechanism to round up everybody and to assign them where they are to go than to the post office? All right? Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecies, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. Imagine if there was a major crisis here, economic collapse, because you got to understand something. Those so-called terrorists, they're not just into blowing up buildings. That's not their strategy. That's not what it's about. Their strategy is to bring about an economic collapse by destroying the faith and confidence of the people. Haven't you noticed that every time there's a major crisis that the stock market goes down? See, their thing is, the whole stock market is not just based on science and mathematics like you may think. It's based majority on emotion. That the stock market is not just based on facts and figures, but it's based primarily or more importantly on emotions and a degree of confidence that the people have. This piece of paper is not backed up by anything. It's not backed up by gold or silver. Only thing that's backing this thing up is a mutually agreed upon convention where you say, I recognize this as being worth $1 if you recognize this as being worth $1. And that faith and confidence in that is the only thing holding this thing up. The minute you lose confidence that this is worth $1, It's gone. It'll be laying in the streets. And the prophet said that one day too. He said one day it will be $20 bills in the street, and you pick it up and it'll be like leaves in the street. It won't have no meaning. Because there's nothing backing it up. It's just faith. This money system is like religion. It's literally a religion. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecies, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. Watch my prophecies. Imagine if there's an economic collapse. There's no more transportation, there's no more food distribution, water gets cut off in the city, you can't flush your toilet. You imagine what the cities are going to be like? The cities is going to be death camps. It's going to be like that movie Escape from New York. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecies, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. He also said that, this is deep, because he said this in 1928 before anything about smart bombs, you know about all the smart bombs with laser accuracy. He said that, quote, one day bombs are going to fall so that they won't miss a spot as wide as my shoe. He said that you are going to need a basement to hide in, almost like bunkers. And so right there, he's describing smart bombs right there. He's saying that it's not. So he's already predicting for all the technology, smart bombs, all that stuff. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. The prophet also said there's going to be an earthquake that will split the United States in two. He may be referring to a physical earthquake, or he may be referring to some type of political upheaval that will split the country in two. He also said that one day 50-pound hailstones are going to fall. And you see all these crazy storms that's taking place across the country now? We headed right for that. What he's saying is that, in a sense, is that the weather's going to freak out. These are the type of things that's happening because what's happening is that an imbalance. He said that, see, our people, when we in tune, when we in peace and harmony, the earth is in peace and harmony. When we out of tune and we out of harmony, the planet's out of harmony. That's why he said that he has to get our people out of their sin, because literally our state, our condition will bring about the destruction of America. That's what he was telling them. He was saying, I got to save them from their great sin in order to save America. Because if not, they're going to destroy America just through their own vibes, through their own mindset. They're going to destroy it. They're going to cause all kinds of earthquakes, hail, all kinds of things. That's what our people are doing because we so messed up. And we mess up anything that's around us because we have a direct connection with the forces of nature. And so when we out of whack, nature's out of whack. And that's why you see all this crazy stuff happening all over the planet now. The whole weather system's changing. The North Pole and the South Pole are melting. Whole chunks are melting. People who live in the coastlines, it's going to be underwater soon. Because as those ice melt, the water level rises. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecy, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. He said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. The prophet also said, he said, quote, all nations will turn against the United States one day. What do you see happening right now? The prophet said this, quote, he said that one day there's going to be a holy war. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. At that time, I don't even think Saudi Arabia, the whole oil thing wasn't going yet. It wasn't going on yet. All you had in there was desert sheiks. Poor desert sheiks roaming the desert at this point. So you didn't have all this talk about the high holy war or whatever against America or all that stuff at that time. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecies, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. The Holy Prophet said that things are going to go back to the horse and buggy days. What he's saying there is that technology is going to fail. And we're going to be turned back to a pre-industrial revolution state of technology. That's why I'm encouraging them more so about to study Moorish Spain and the technology and stuff of Moorish Spain, because that was pre-industrial revolution. Yet they established a standard of living that they was living better than we live now. They had running water. They had street lights that was lit. They had beautiful homes, marbles, fountains, everything. So we should study that technology, because that's stuff that we could implement. If things go back to the horse and buggy days, we could still live in a way that is high standard of living. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. That's why the prophet said, if you don't believe my prophecy, he said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. He said, quote, this is dealing with the reparations. He said the European is going to have to pay our people off for the work that they did in slavery and pay off in compounded interest. So right there he's saying in terms of our reparations is as a result of the labor that we've done. And so it has to be calculated based on that. We have to study the gross national product. We have to study all those things and calculate where we factor into that, and then calculate it based on compounded interest. He says, don't throw away your slave names just yet, because we have a birthright under them. For the work that our ancestors did in slavery time, we will be paid off for this, and with compounded interest. Keep in mind now, the prophet speaking in 1928. This is 1928 now. Number 168 says, now check this out. It says, quote, one day you are going to look out into the streets, and the streets are going to be filled with men with turbans and fezzes, and the highways are going to be blocked. He said, if you don't believe I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies.